So let's get into Amanda Sales, y'all, because they've been dragging Amanda for filth. Okay. And personally, I feel like I'm 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 tired of arguing on her behalf on some slick shit, but because I feel like I understand why she did. I feel like I understand why the interview went the way it did. I feel like I understand why she did not say that she had self-diagnosed, because he was already trying to undermine her throughout the interview. He tried to undermine. So because your brain works differently than mine, that means you're autistic. Nigga, are we really having this conversation? Like, I mean, are they really racist? Or, is that just our kids? Or are they really racist? Or was that just because that was a teacher and it was an adult? Like, he tried to undermine everything she said. And I do understand people's point of view. But when people say shit like, oh, Amanda's always the victim, and I'm like, but in what scenario have we been presented with where you can't understand her side of it? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I felt like I understood both sides of it too. I have a friend and it's very clear to me that she is somewhere on the spectrum. Very, very clear. And she reminds me so much of Amanda. I understand where Amanda's coming from, but I also understand how people be annoyed with her. What I did not like though was Shannon in the way that he came into this interview. For me, it kind of felt like somebody on his team. I don't know if Uncle Sharp is, familiar, but I'm thinking somebody gave him the rundown and was like,
Mm-hmm.
people can't stand Amanda because of this. So when he got the rundown, he came on the show trying to dispute everything she was saying. Because at the beginning of this interview, I was like, okay, I like this side of Amanda. I can understand where she's coming from. Okay, I can see that. Probably like probably the first 45 minutes to an hour, for real. So he just sounded so dumb, caping for the white people who clearly did things wrong to her when she was a kid. Like, obviously, she's speaking from her point of view, right? On the flip side, I could see where she also doesn't understand that she's wrong. Wrong in a way, meaning she makes people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for the whole interview, it was very much, I was right, I was right, I was right, I was right. And because she might be on that spectrum of, and that's a whole nother thing we have to discuss, because is she on the spectrum or is she not? Because that came out after the interview. Because she says she is, she may not be able to comprehend, like, she don't have regular social cues. She don't just follow the status quo. And
Right.
that's what it is.
I definitely felt how Nisi felt. I felt both ways. I definitely felt both ways. I think Shannon definitely irritated me the most with the racism conversation, because she's telling you her experience. Like, that was just very frustrating. When it came down to the whole autism questioning and stuff like that, I felt like he asked her that before he really got into the racism. So I didn't think that he was interrogating her or trying to make her feel a certain way. I feel like he was just asking her questions. Like, she said something in her interview where she was like, he asked questions that no normal journalist or whoever would ever ask. Number one, y'all need to decide, y'all want him to be a journalist or y'all don't want him to be a journalist. The other thing is, Gail King and others definitely would have asked you the exact question about, have you been clinically diagnosed? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, like, when she said in her interview, like, he asked stuff that nobody else would ever ask, and I'm like, no, that's not true, Amanda, you know that. um yeah, but I feel like both of y'all, like, I like Amanda. I do feel like some stuff, you like what you asked the question about, when has she told us something where
You
we
couldn't
didn't
see her
understand.
point of view. Like,
Right.
when you
And
feel
that was
like,
the thing. Like, I saw her point of view. So that's why I was like, I can't say that she's 100% wrong, because I could see her point of view in that. I think where she really messed up and slipped up was the autism conversation. Now, when it comes to her being self diagnosed, that was where I felt conflicted as well, because If you're saying that you can look on, the websites or whatever and identify whether or not you have autism or whatever, you can self-diagnose yourself, if that's even possible. I'm not familiar, but what I will say is I look at it like postpartum depression, because a lot of times women self-diagnose themselves with depression once they look at the symptoms, because those are going to be some of the same symptoms that your doctor may ask you if you have, or whatever the
I
case is. And then,
self-diagnosed myself with anxiety. Like,
right,
I had to go to a doctor to get the prescription to get the medication for it, but I knew I had anxiety once I read off the list of what are the symptoms of anxiety, and I had almost
right.
all of them. So, and I also feel like, here's the thing.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to say, "Oh, she should get diagnosed." You know, we shouldn't trust what she's saying if she doesn't get diagnosed. But these are the same people that didn't want to go get the vaccine because you felt like it may not necessarily be right, and you don't always trust doctors. So it's
That's
like,
true, but I do feel like that is a bit different though. Like that's like you inserting something in your body versus like an actual diagnosis. You see, like I just feel like
it's this
that's a
trusting the
bit
knowledge thing
different.
is the point. Whether
Mhm.
when are you either we're always going to trust what doctors say, or it's okay for somebody to be like, I don't need a doctor to tell me this. I can figure it out for myself. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Right.
people do, and it is so loud from Black people right now that, oh, she didn't get diagnosed, but it was so loud when it came time to COVID and vaccines, and y'all not trusting doctors then. And so it's just kind of like, it does seem funny to me.
I
It's the
think I
same.
heard her mention that talking point, and I'll be
She
honest. I
did.
think Amanda saw that online, and she decided to add that into a part of her debate or her response, her rebuttal to what
I
people were
agree.
saying. I don't think it was like truly valid in how she felt, but I will say this: I don't deal with autism on a regular basis, so it's easier for me on the outside looking in to compare it to like depression and stuff. For a person that has to dabble with that on a daily basis with their family members themselves and doctors that actually diagnose individuals of such, I feel like if they are requiring, in my opinion, for you to be mindful of how you go about using that, I can't fault them for that.
She didn't
Don't
say
go
she
around and
couldn't
give
do that.
yourself a label, because she did say that she was clinically diagnosed. So it's like, don't
No,
go
she
around and
didn't.
give yourself that
She
label.
Well,
didn't
didn't
say
And
that.
he said, when did
he
you
asked
find
her that,
out?
and
No, no,
And
she
she
no.
said,
It was specifically, she said there have been diagnoses. She answered it in a specific way. People didn't catch it.
the way
But the
I
way
remember
I caught it
was
when she
him
did it.
saying, when did you get diagnosed? And she said, at such and such years old, like basically
yeah,
yesterday.
like
No, he
yeah,
said no.
she
So
did.
did no?
She
He said,
answered
did
that like
you
she
did
did.
you get a diet? She was like, so he was like, I'm trying to understand. Was there a clinical? He said, was there a clinical diagnosis? She was like, yes, there are clinical diagnoses once you look at the test. Da, 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 da. But she didn't say she had been clinically diagnosed. She said there are clinical diagnoses for autism, meaning she generalized it. But the reason why I feel like she
Mm.
did that is because when she originally said it, he was like, so how do you? I mean, can you be brilliant and also not be like, can you be brilliant and not be autistic? It's like when she was talking about questions that nobody would ask, that was one of those questions. Like, of course somebody can be brilliant and not be
That
autistic.
was a stupid
Yeah,
ass
he was
question.
trying
Like,
to prove a
That was
point.
dumb as hell.
That
so
was dumb.
It
Yes.
was
he
dumb as
I was like, what?
it's like, so what you saying, your brain work differently than my brain. So if your brain work differently than my brain, that means you autistic. He had already tried, I feel
that
like,
was
to
dumb.
dismantle what she was saying. So by
He
the
was already
time she comes to
positioned.
the point of knowing that you're not going to respect me telling you that I'm self-diagnosed, so I'm not even going to give that to you.
And
I think
unfortunately for Amanda, this is going to be something that she's going to be facing for a long time, because I feel like her reputation precedes her in a
Mhm.
negative
Hmm.
way. So,
Hmm.
because of that, people are already on the fence about how they go about handling her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're already expected for some type of comeback or for her to be some type of problem. But let me also say this too, which I don't feel like necessarily helps her case. I don't know if she asked to be on the show. She went on the show,
she
whatever, sat
did.
down, did the interview. It was very rough for her because I was cringing for at least 30 minutes watching her. She got comfortable, as it went on, asked for a hug. I think the issue became when she got online, and just one of the issues for me that I saw with her and him. And she said that he interrogated her and just different wordplay that she used, making it seem like he was more of the problem than she was. And then when she did the video and doubled down and said, he asked me questions that nobody would ever ask, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I feel like this is where you can kind of affect your relationships at times in the
with people.
industry. Yeah, when you do stuff like that, because then it's like I won't ever fuck with her again. Like, I gave you the opportunity to come on my show, whatever, and then now you're trying to paint it out like I'm the bad guy. Like, yeah, I was wrong for how I came at you with the racism thing. My bad. I was out of line with that. I
She
didn't
also
read
said
the
her
room,
mom was white
but the rest of it,
after
now
she
that was
already.
dumb as hell. When she
Like,
sitting in
"Oh,
her
your
mama
mom was black."
language, I said,
But did
"What?
y'all cringe at the
No, you
end
don't."
whenever she said you should come on my podcast, and Shannon very much played her to the left? I
No, I
can see
missed
if my
that
people
part.
can get in contact with your people. Yeah. Oh, at the end. So
Boy,
that's the other thing. To Jamie's
Mhm,
point,
mhm.
you like ended the interview. You got comfortable, ended the interview in a good spot. Saw the reactions from the internet, and then all of a sudden now it's like, I can't really fuck with Shannon. But in that moment, it was fine. So at the end of the interview, she ended up asking him, I need you to come on my podcast. I would love for you to come on. He very dryly said, I have to see. You can get in contact with my people, is what he
Ama-
told her.
Amanda needs to stop trying to find community with people that are, I feel like, hell bent on misunderstanding her. Because regardless to what anybody says, I feel like he was hell bent on misunderstanding her a lot throughout that interview. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even because to me, if you had paid attention the whole time she was talking about her mom, every time she said something, her mom would say she spoke in an accent, in a
Yeah.
Caribbean accent. So why the
Absolutely.
Yeah.
fuck did you
Why
say
do you
her
think she was
mama was
white?
white? And then said,
And
"Oh,
then,
so your dad's white?" No, my aunt married a white man. That was what
no,
she said. You're not even listening to me.
it
And you
was very clear
like,
that he's using Chat GPT to come up
Good
with these
night.
people's descriptions. Because whenever he invite people on, he come up with these long ass
yes,
elaborate
as if
descriptions.
he wrote that himself. Which
Yet
Yup.
you don't know that the mama, that the lady is fully black.
and that's another thing.
That
Like
was so.
it was a lot of shit that
Then thought the stepdaddy was her daddy or something like that. The white man. I said,
he was her
Shannon.
uncle. Like it was a step uncle. Like that's not my daddy. My daddy a black man from Baltimore or some shit like that. So no, I definitely feel like her assessment of him interrogating her was true because I feel like he kept trying to dispel all of her experiences. And
He
it's like,
did.
why are you trying to play devil's advocate of my experiences, nigga? You was not there. I also
Yeah.
was aggravated personally as like the girl that went to school with all white teachers. Y'all, they really don't like the smart black kids. I can't tell you enough. The white kids can correct them and they will not have the same energy that they have towards the black kid that corrects them. So I've been called a nigga by white kids before. Like I went
Mm-hmm.
to schools that was
Yep.
predominantly white. So when she was speaking of her experience, I was like, I understand that because I also went through that. So to me,
Right.
to have this country bumpkin ass nigga dispel what she's talking about when you just got basically called a boy by Skip Bayless or whatever the fuck his name is. Like you're kind. And the thing that annoyed me though is after the fact. After the fact, when he was talking to Ocho and them, that's when he was like, "Oh, we've all experienced this." And I'm like, "So why couldn't you have that energy in the interview?" It's like when he was talking to the men. Now I can admit that we all deal with these instances of racism. So why
It's
would he
because
argue
he
with her
got
about
the roundup. I think this is a situation of two things can be true. I
Mhm.
think in that moment they handled each other how they naturally would. They seen the comments from the internet. They hopped on the internet and allowed that to influence their reactions after the fact. I think
that?
Shannon saw how dumb he sounded. Like, okay, I get that. That's true. So let me say, I understand where I'm coming from. As old as he is, he know good and fucking well that he had to have experienced some racism. So for him to try to invalidate her was just crazy as fuck. Issa. I wanted to talk to y'all about that part.
Yeah,
Amanda's
Mhm.
comments on Issa though.
I
I
believe
believe her.
it. Listen, I believe
I
it.
I
Mm.
believe her. I like Issa.
Me
And
too.
I don't think that Issa is a bad person.
Nope.
But I also think that Issa feels that Amanda is so problematic that there may be conversation about her when Amanda's not around. And Issa kind of like, yeah, I feel you. So she's not going to align herself with Amanda, which is why she was getting kicked out of that party.
But when you think about it, Issa is in control of the show. That's your publicist. And you kind of allow for this shit to happen with the people, you know what I'm saying? That's on your set, on your show. And then when she said, and Issa's not gonna respond, and Issa shouldn't respond, just let it die
Nah.
off. But when Amanda said that Issa told her, I guess I was thinking about you as your character, I was like, bitch, not the character that you wrote.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Yeah,
I
she
don't
said,
remember the character.
yeah, she said,
Oh,
well, you
really?
know, she was very bougie. Like she was very like, oh my God, like bougie light skinned girl. And when you think about it, y'all, it makes sense for Issa to low key adopt that character to Amanda as a dark skinned black woman. She probably did think that Amanda was gonna have that I'm better than everybody light skinned woman approach. And she does think she better than everybody, but
I was about to say that. She
it comes from her intelligence, not from being classist or bougie. It comes from I'm smarter than you, nigga. Shut the fuck up. But not from a,
yeah.
oh my God, like not the Tiffany role that Issa wrote for her. But I was like, bitch, how the fuck you gonna think I'm somebody that a character that you wrote me to play?
You know, this her talking about that character let me know that Amanda, which I think she may often do, you put too much expectation or something on Issa because she was your boss or whatever, because that really confirmed to me that y'all don't have that type of relationship for her to sit up
What they did.
protect you or whatever. It's like, yeah, you just like an employee. Y'all haven't hung out outside of this to really get to get to know each other more in depth, So
They
I
have worked
think
with
that
each
the
other before
expectation
though.
you attached to
When
her.
did they work with each other?
On YouTube. I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Her
Amanda
show
was
Oh
was.
yeah, that show.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's definitely one of those
A
situations
work
where,
relationship.
yeah, and somebody that really wanted to create that genuine connection, but might be a tad bit standoffish. And if other people already have a, light-skinned girls kind of, they may not want to see her with the compassion that she would like for them to see her with. And I think a lot of people feel like that about Amanda. But my thing about Amanda is I feel like people hate Amanda like she actually did something to somebody. Like the way people
Mm-hmm.
be talking, she always the victim. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what has actually taken place for us to be like Amanda was really
They
wrong?
can't take her
I think it's more.
outspokenness and her
Yeah.
standing on her fucking business and what she said. That's really what it is. She doubled down on what she says. I want to say
Yeah.
this too. Two things I want to say. One thing was about her kind of blaming Shannon for baiting her into saying something about the autism comment or whatever like that. It seemed like to me she was kind of trying to blame him for the backlash, and I will say I don't think that's fair to blame him for the backlash of how people feel about you responding to the autism conversation, because the people picked and choose, which is unfortunate because she spent 3 hours talking and y'all pulled out small parts, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how they typically do on interviews. So I didn't think that was fair, but I feel like this interview was not justice for Amanda. I don't think it did her justice. And the reason why is because often she shows up in these spaces is misunderstood, and people create a lot of these different articles and stuff. But I feel like we should have started from a long time ago to get to where we are here. I know we talked about her college and stuff, but when she opened up and said that she had rage
Dear
as a
Amanda
child,
Seal,
I wanted to know more about, like,
there will never
let me know
be
more about what
a
your childhood and
double
stuff
a
was like.
mother.
You know what I'm saying?
Dear
They
So
should have cut the interview in half, and I think it would have done her justice. If they would have done the
Possibly.
interview no longer than an hour, I think it would have done her justice. The longer you heard her talk, I was like, oh Lord, this.
Yeah.
okay, so let
It
me read
was
this to y'all.
a little hard.
So they keep mentioning this, and I didn't know
But it
anything
was
about
good
it.
at the same time.
So let me read this. Can y'all hear me? Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because they keep talking about this Samira Rice shit. So let's talk about it. Okay, so Amanda Seales was issued a few reads on Twitter after she interjected herself into Samira Rice and Sean King's feud. King became a trending topic this week. This was in 2021 after he was called out by Tamir Rice's mom on Instagram. In a lengthy statement shared online, Samira accused Sean of being a white man trying to be black and profiting off of her son's death without approval. While Sean has remained silent on Samira's shade, one person who came to his defense was none other than outspoken actress comedian Amanda Seales. After the story was reported on the Shade Room Thursday, she hopped into the comments offering her 2 cents on the matter. It's no secret that I have side-eyed Sean King. However, bigger picture, nobody finds it somewhat odd that she's just out the blue going out of her way and being given every platform with no receipt shown to call out one by one Black activist organizers that have been the visible faces of the movement. Just food for thought, she wrote. So, okay, but not everyone. If that's all she wrote, I'm really needing y'all to calm down. But hold up. But not everyone was on the same side of the fence as Amanda was on this sensitive topic, considering that Tamir Rice has been speaking out against popular activists only as it relates to the tragic death of her 12-year-old son. Many found Amanda's stance to be insensitive to Samir's ongoing fight for justice for Tamir. Were you planning to ask Sean King and these other activists to provide receipts showing the donations went to the right recipient since you care so much about receipts? One Twitter user said while tagging Amanda to screenshots of her controversial comment. Amanda Seals, I read that, whatever. That woman has every right to speak on anything anyone using her son's name does, and she doesn't need receipts, added someone else. That's her child. She didn't ask anyone to make him the face of a movement or act on his behalf. What the fuck is wrong with Amanda Seals? Okay, so I really feel like y'all are over exaggerating because the way y'all acting like she went off on this lady. Hold up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what else did she say?
I'm looking at some tweets. Okay, she said it's no secret. No, this is all she said. It's no secret that I have side-eyed Sean King. However, bigger picture, nobody finds it somewhat odd that she's just out the blue, going out of her way and being given every platform. This is if that I just read that. That's it. That was all.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. I don't think that's enough to warrant a war
I
because
don't.
I
The way
think
y'all
it was
are
so
acting.
small. You
That's
muted,
very
Niecy.
small.
You muted.
Okay, I was saying usually I feel like she get the most smoke from whenever she go live on her stories.
Okay.
So I'm like, is it something paired with this that
Oh,
we're missing?
it
Because
must
that's
be.
usually where she have all the smoke.
And this is what somebody said, and that's what I thought. What I took from it was the media was using Tamir Rice's mom to make the movement look bad, to make Black Lives Matter look bad. And I can see that. I can see her point in that. Like they're all giving her a platform with receipts because everybody wants to make Black Lives Matter look bad. And we all know that they went through, and then the lady who was in charge using the money. Listen, I understand everybody's point of view. I understand what that lady went through and all of that, but Amanda's tweet was not that fucking serious. I'm sorry. It just wasn't.
It wasn't that serious to warrant a war, but at the end of the day, I will say, if that lady wants to question people about her child and them using his face for monetary gain in whatever fashion, and she didn't receive it, that lady has every right to say what the fuck she wants to say.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just don't think that. I think that's the last part of what Amanda said probably warranted a lot of people coming at her. I don't think it should have been a riot. You know what I'm saying? About, oh, Amanda, and she shouldn't have been splattered all over these blogs about what she said. But I do understand a bit of pushback because who are you? And I don't want to say that you're a person without it. I'm not even gonna say that. I'll just say for a person that lost their child, she has a right to question it. And
Absolutely.
y'all making money off her child's name. I just don't think
Right.
that was right to be like, you don't find it weird that she's coming after the activists? Why shouldn't she? Why
If you
shouldn't
don't
she?
trust where
You
the money's
often sit
going.
on your platform, Amanda, and and try to hold people
What does
accountable.
Sean King being
What's
white
wrong
have
with
to
this
do with
lady to doing the
anything?
same?
I'm sorry, but I keep seeing them say Sean King is white. I'm like, yeah, we know Sean King is white. What does that have to do with what
Yeah,
we talking
he's.
about? Y'all keep saying it
Hmm.
like that's supposed to mean
I thought he
something.
was white,
I
looking
thought he was
black,
But
too.
did he ever
but
admit
he
to it? I
advocates
can't
for the
remember.
blacks, so I don't really be.
He does. He didn't have to like
Rachel Dolezal.
it's probably. I don't fuck with Sean
I'm
King
just
like
thinking.
that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in it like that. I do, I feel like there's some fugaziness with everybody, but I also feel like we can say, Amanda, that was insensitive, but then again, that would lead to her not understanding social cues and lend to the idea that she probably is on the fucking spectrum. But
I
outside
think
of
she is.
that, I do.
Oh,
I do.
sure.
I really do. That's why I'm like,
Hmm.
why are we arguing about this when it's obvious? Like, come on. But anyway, I still feel like
I
that.
think people still lack a full understanding of autism. And
Yeah.
I think that might have something to do with it. And if she was more so clinically diagnosed, that would probably make them feel
Yes, but
better.
who the fuck cares how y'all feel about what's going on with
What
her?
she's going on.
You know what I'm saying? Just like who the fuck cares how Amanda felt about with Tamir Rice mama, you know what I'm saying? But that was her opinion, and everybody has opinions. So to be clear,
Mm-hmm.
y'all get online and say fucked up shit about people all day, every day.
All
So
day.
it's a lot of grandstanding going on. But I can understand if that turns you off to Amanda and you don't like Amanda because of that, I totally understand. That's your choice. That was in bad
Mm-hmm.
taste. I got y'all on that. But again, these are the same people that go around liking the trick daddies and the Ray J's of the fucking world too. So it's like Give me a break, y'all. Like, because people kept mentioning it like she went in on this lady, and I'm like, she didn't really go in on her. Y'all are over exaggerating what happened because it was in bad taste. It was in bad taste. We'll say that. He not white. He look white. He white to me.
Oh, he not
He say he white.
embarrassing.
Oh, he's
Girl,
My
like
bad.
6'6".
you
Okay.
I thought
white. You're white presenting, my nigga. Like you're white
Hmm.
presenting. But either
Mm.
way, y'all, Amanda is definitely one of those people that, like a lot of other people, they do not say the right shit every time they say some shit, y'all. But I don't think
No.
that makes Amanda like a terrible person the way I think people try to make her seem. And I think
I
she's a bitch
agree.
sometimes, but I think everybody can be a bitch sometimes. Like,
but I don't know. Is that a bitch when you just like? I feel like she may be a bit direct
You
I
and
know
mean,
what it
honest.
is?
they have
I guess.
encountered
I mean, I
this
guess that
person
is a bitch to some
before.
people.
Yeah.
What I think it is she is a complaining ass figure or negative ass figure.
Ooh,
And that's why people are irritated with her. I think every time Amanda Seales pops up, she's saying something that's polarizing and it's very much like, oh my gosh, here she go. And the blogs know that they irritate the fuck out of people. So as long as she continues to share her polarizing opinions, that's who she's going to be, viewed as. And that's
you're
what she gets
right.
the most buzz out of. So,
That's what the blogs get the most buzz out of because now
right.
that's the only reason why they're gonna post her on their page. Whenever she doing anything to make her look good, mm,
I don't
they ain't gonna
I don't
post
agree
it.
with this at all. She oversimplified autism. How? See, this is what I be talking about. Why I feel like y'all just be out here like y'all just want to dislike the lady, so we just gonna just this and that. And I did talk to Chris. I did talk to Chris about him working with her. And a lot of what he said is the same shit that we saying. She does not, she's very direct, very blunt, doesn't have good social cues. And there are probably some people that felt like she didn't support them, that she wasn't as supportive to them, and she wanted Issa to be to her. So that's why I said, I still like Issa, regardless to what she said. I still like Issa, but I'm a
Right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of feel like, people really drag women for shit that's not that deep, and niggas be out here, assaulting people, and y'all be like, we all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We all make mistakes. And I just kind of feel like, we should be forgiving and give people second chances like Benzino and shit. But anyway, y'all, lastly,